Hi all, we're back for another FineScale Modeler Weekly.
Yep, and we have a couple of cool kits for you.
Starting with a new 1/48 scale kit from Arma, a Hawker Hurricane Mark IIc.
Best known for its 1/72 scale aircraft kits, this is only the second 1/48 scale kit from the Polish manufacturer.
And like those 1/72 scale kits, this is a thing of beauty.
Starting with the surface detail. On the fuselage, the metal panels at the front have sharp Zeus fasteners. The rear has a nice rendition of the fabric covering. The wings have subtle, very subtle, raised rivets along with the recessed panel lines. It's the sort of detail that should look good under a coat of paint. Control surfaces, like the elevators and rudder, also show nicely done fabric effect. The underside of the rear fuselage is separate, and an unused option indicates other versions of the Hurricane are inbound. The big radiator under the belly has a separate exit flap and a one-piece opening.
The cockpit is well appointed, including a multi-part seat, footbeds, frames, armored backplate, and instrument panel. Part of the floor doubles as the roof of the main gear bay, which incorporates the main spar. The wheels have sidewall details and open hubs. The gear legs are super clean, and there's detail molded inside the doors.
Other features include optional spinners for the 3-blade prop, a choice of underwing tanks or bombs, 2 different versions of the 20mm cannon barrels for the wings, inserts for the landing lights with details, and optional sliding canopy sections to pose it open or closed. The clear parts also include lights, part of the gun sight, and optional rear view mirrors. Pre-cut masks will aid painting.
TechMod decals supply dials for the instrument panel, seat belt, stencils, and markings for 3 Royal Air Force Hurricanes. An overall Black Knight intruder from No. 1 Squadron at Tangmere in May 1942. A dark earth and dark green fighter flown by No. 257 Squadron leader and ace Robert Stanford Tuck in May 1941. And an ocean gray and dark green camouflage plane from the Polish No. 309 Squadron in summer 1944.
This kit looks amazing in the box, and given the other Arma kits we've reviewed, should build nicely.
And really, the Hurricane's a beautiful airplane, so why wouldn't you want to build it? We go small for the next kit.
It's a 1/72 scale M706 Commando from Trumpeter.
Developed by Cadillac Gage as an armed convoy escort, the Commando was extensively used during the Vietnam War.
Most of the body is molded in a single part with weld seams, hatches, steps, and more molded on. It fits over the underside plate that receives shocks and front and rear axles molded with leaf springs, which the 2-part wheels and rubber tires clip onto.
Inside is the driver's seat, controls, and troop seats. The side, rear, and top hatches are separate, but will need modification to pose open. Fine parts like mirrors, jerry cans, lights, and brush guards are finely molded.
The turret with its lower ring has a separate hatch and a pair of guns.
A small decal sheet supplies markings for a pair of military police M706s, one with blind faith across the front and one with large MP emblazoned on the sides.
Small-scale armor has grown increasingly popular, and this seems like a fine entry into that selection.
So what do you think makes small-scale armor grow? And if it grows, does it become like large-scale armor?
I think,
give it enough like malorganite or nitrogen, does it grow bigger?
I want to say it's water.
Just water.
Just water.
Just add water.
Yeah, just add water.
Sure. You heard it here first, guys. Finally, let's take a look at the latest version of HobbyBoss's Leopard 1.
It's a 1/35 scale Bergepanzer II Buffalo ARV.
This armored recovery vehicle was developed in the 1970s from the Leopard 1 to serve the German Army.
Much of the Leopard lower hull and the modified upper hull are molded as single parts. The latter features sharp surface detail including non-skid patches and engine vents. Slots in the lower nose make room for the dozer blade, and there's a separate rear plate. Running gear comprises road wheel arms, shocks, road wheels, idlers, and drive sprockets. Individual link tracks ground the vehicle.
Impressively, there's quite a bit of interior, including diamond plate floor, detailed seats for the driver, crane operator, and commander, radio equipment, and fire extinguishers, as well as parts of the crane. Most of the hatches are separate if you want to show the interior.
In addition to the crane that includes movable pistons and a wire-rigged pulley and hook, external details include the mount to carry a spare power plant, Pioneer tools, spare track links, grousers, MG3 machine gun for the commander's hatch, tow bar, and clear lights and periscopes.
Photo etch metal supplies the mesh cover for the engine fan as well as various straps and other details. Decals and color diagrams show markings for 3 German Army Bergepanzer IIs, 1 in overall green, 1 in NATO camo, and 1 in desert sand camo.
This looks good in the box and might be the basis for some cool Cold War scenes.
Absolutely. Look for reviews of the Hurricane and Commando at FineScale.com,
where we have bushels of info, including how-to stories, snapshots, galleries, and a lot more.
What's a bushel, Kendra?
I have no idea.
And stop by CombatHobbyStore.com for specially curated references and tools.
FineScale Modeler Weekly is brought to you by HobbyZone USA, your source for hobby storage solutions, hard-to-find hobby tools, and aftermarket modeling needs.
Mistakes at the workbench. They happen, sometimes more often than we'd like to admit. Many of us have been doing this modeling thing for a while. I know I have, and I have made plenty of mistakes at the workbench.
Professor Kidwell.
Yes, Mr. Skinner?
I didn't think that you made mistakes. I thought you were like a modeling god.
Mr. Skinner, I am an editor, not a dragon. Flattery will get you nowhere. So here are 5 mistakes that I have made at the workbench that you do not want to emulate. Mistake number 1. Underestimating the wicking power of Tamiya extra thin cement after already clamping 2 halves of a model together with a rubber band. This is a total rookie mistake, but sometimes even those of us who have been around a while will make a boneheaded error like this. So, what ends up happening is you go ahead and you flow that Tamiya thin cement right into that spot. You're not even thinking about it, and oh no, it's wicking around the rubber band. Now, usually what happens is this error takes place and you don't realize that it's taken place. And so you set this aside for a little while, and then you come back and you unclamp it. And what you unclamp, and you're like, and you take off the rubber band, and yeah, the part is glued together, but oh no, the rubber band has reacted with the glue has pooled up alongside the rubber band, and it's eaten into the plastic, marring it, and hopefully it's fixable and not in a super obvious spot. So the thing here is, be careful about your order of operations. If you're going to use the Tamiya thin cement, flow it into that seam before you clamp it with the rubber band. Hold it together and let it start to set up, and then clamp it. And try to clamp it in a place where you're pretty sure that you haven't had any glue ooze out. Or if you're doing it, make sure that you haven't had any glue come up next to or near to where that rubber band is going to be, which is going to lead us to mistake number 2. Like mistake number 1, mistake number 2 is underestimating the capillary action of Tamiya thin cement and having a finger where you don't want to have a finger. Now, oftentimes this happens when you're holding like a fuselage, let's say, and there are a lot of panel lines, and you're holding it together well enough away from where the seam is, and you apply that Tamiya thin cement, except that a little bit of that cement decides to go ahead and flow down a panel line and under your finger, and well, bad things ensue. Now, I don't have a fuselage to do this with, but I do have this part, and I can kind of show you what this looks like. So, oh, look, I'm just applying some Tamiya thin cement. It's just like any other day, except that I've accidentally got some Tamiya thin cement underneath my finger now. Except you don't realize that it's there, right? You're just holding the part. You're letting it set up 10, 25 seconds, and then, oh no. Oh, what has, and then you see that you've left a smudge or a fingerprint on the part. So what to do? sometimes you can't avoid a mistake like that. The easiest thing is to make sure that you aren't overloading the little applicator brush in the, to me, a thin cement bottle. Make sure to wipe some of it off and then do multiple applications so that the cement isn't just flowing in abundance along that seam. If you're afraid, if you're concerned that you might have an issue, another route to go is to go ahead and use some liquid cement. And when you're placing it, make sure that you're placing it very sparingly and just in locations where it's not going to ooze out of the seam. Mistake number 3. For whatever reason, you decide that you need to decant some lacquer thinner. You need it around. You're going to use it to clean something up. For whatever reason, you're looking for something to hold your lacquer thinner, and you reach for the closest thing, and that would be one of those handy dandy little plastic paint cups that you've got around your airbrush spray booth. Yeah, all right, I'll go ahead and just put it in there. Cool. So you open up your lacquer thinner, you're not thinking, you're busy. You've got other things on your mind. And then you go ahead and you put that lacquer thinner in there, not even thinking about it. Put it in there. Now you get to work. You get to work at the workbench. You're doing your thing. And suddenly you start to notice that the lacquer thinner is doing all sorts of funky stuff to that cup. It's oh no, it's melting through. The cup starts to get oozy and nasty, and that's not good. That's not good at all. Do not, for whatever reason, put lacquer thinner into a plastic container, a cup. Now, certain plastic cups are going to react more quickly with the lacquer thinner than others. Either way, the end result is not good. And just as an aside, if you are decanting lacquer out of a spray can so you can use it in your airbrush, decant it into a glass container, not into a plastic one. Mistake number 4. Anybody who just watched that last segment knows exactly what happened right here. Moving on, if you are using a 2-part decal setting system, for instance, like MicroScale's MicroSet and MicroSol, you want to make sure that you definitely know which one goes on underneath the decal, MicroSet, and which one goes over the top of the decal once it is in place, the MicroSol. These bottles are very similar. You take the caps off and they look almost identical, except for the labeling. You will be sorely disappointed if you confuse the one that goes on top of the decal for the one that goes underneath the decal. Because, as we talked about in a previous tooling around, this is basically paint stripper. A lot like that lacquer thinner. Maybe not as aggressive, but that's what it is. And you're going to be sorely disappointed when you put this on your paint or your clear coat and you start watching it react to what you finished your model with. So make sure that you keep these far enough apart on your workbench and you know which one it is that you're applying when.
Mr. Kidwell.
Yes, Mr. Skinner?
I believe that this is not the only time that you have mixed up similar looking bottles, is it?
Mistake 4A. So, recently, I was working on a review model for the magazine. And I went to go ahead and put down some Vallejo matte varnish, which is a flat coat. And just trying to finish up my my model. And so I'm spraying at the workbench, and, well, it just wouldn't turn flat. It looked awful glossy. And then I realized that instead of grabbing the matte varnish, which looks like this, I accidentally grabbed the gloss varnish, which looks like this. Yeah, that's right. There's no difference between the bottles except for the color of this little flag right there. And well, of course, if I had read instead of just trusting my instincts, I would have known. But again, make sure to double check and use the correct bottle of whatever it is that you're about to use. Mistake number 5. You may have heard that you can clean your airbrush after spraying acrylic paints with isopropyl alcohol. And in many cases, this might be true. For instance, you can clean your airbrush with isopropyl alcohol after spraying Tamiya paints. However, as I learned the hard way, don't try to do that with Vallejo paints. And I think just showing you what happens speaks for itself. And we got a little bit of Vallejo paint right here. I'm going to put it right at the top. There's the Vallejo paint. Isopropyl alcohol. Take a bit right from the bottom. And then, oh no. What? Why? Look at what that is doing. So rather than actually thinning it, it turns Vallejo paint into a gunky, nasty mess that just continues to get worse and worse inside your airbrush. And if you don't know what's going on, you start thinking, oh, I just need to add more alcohol to the mix, and the longer you keep at it, the worse it gets. It doesn't actually thin it, it just continues to chunk up. And as you can imagine, having that chunk up inside your airbrush and then harden is not something that you want. And believe me, as somebody who had this happen to them, because I did not know, you do not want that glob right there in your airbrush. Don't be like me and use isopropyl alcohol. You can use Windex. Windex will definitely thin and clean Vallejo paint out of your airbrush. You can use the Vallejo proprietary airbrush cleaner. You can also use water. Water will thin and clean Vallejo right out of your airbrush. So those are 5.5 mistakes that you do not want to make at the workbench, like yours truly.
As opposed to me, who's probably only made like 3 of those mistakes, and some others. I could probably do a list of 10 or 12 mistakes that I made at the workbench.
I've never spilt lacquer
Yeah,
onto my model.
No, but I do recall super glue all over a workbench at some point in time. So, we both have our
Yes.
crosses to bear.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to mistakes.
This is going to be the last FineScale Modeler Weekly for a bit. Not the last one ever, but this is the 26th episode. So we've done 26 weeks of these, and we have a magazine to edit. We have other videos to shoot, so other things that need to get done. Plus, we need to do more planning for the next round of FineScale Modeler Weeklies. So we're going to take a little bit of a break.
Right. Not a big one, just a few weeks.
But there will be videos next week. We're going to have more scale model basics. We're going to have at the workbenches coming up. So there will be still weekly videos, but there will be more how-to videos coming. And then we'll get back into FineScale Modeler Weeklies.
So stick around the YouTube channel and the FSM website to see what we have coming up next week.
Right.
And thank you for being loyal viewers.
Absolutely. I think we want to definitely thank everybody who has been here every week watching the video, watching the show. We really appreciate the support.
Yep, and we've heard from a lot of you that you really enjoy them. So
Yes.
that's good.
Yeah, I can't tell you how much it means when we get an email or a comment that says, this is my favorite video. I wait for these every week. That's really cool to hear. And so we're really enthusiastic about, getting the next series of these going and bringing back, making sure that we're letting you guys know what new kits are available. We'll do some tooling around and then whatever we decide to do for the wrap up.
Exactly.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time.
Bye. My fingers get ahead of my brain, or my brain gets ahead of my fingers.
I don't like
Articles, don't
articles.
you?
I either take them out or add one, so.
Finally, let's. Oh my God. Finally, it sounds like I'm
Finally.
saying finally. Finally, we're gonna do something. Just woohoo! Okay, let's try that again. Deliver me. Are you ready?
Now I'm out of my flow.
Sprockets. And now we dance.
So don't be like me. Learn from me. Do not be me. It's gonna be the last one of these I'm gonna do for a while. Does that work?